France is a secular country, and that should be accepted, although the French Catholic Church Bishops' Conference has denounced last night's disgraceful, tawdry, shabby, and extremely sexualized performance at the Olympic Games by a very fat group of people who call themselves things like queer, lesbians, and transvestites. The offense given to 1 billion people or more around the world will not easily be brushed aside. The French have made the usual half-hearted apology. We apologize to anyone who may have taken offense. Take a look at what they did to Leonardo da Vinci's epic depiction, one of the holiest visions in Christendom, of the Last Supper, and look at what they did on the banks of the Seine to it. The outrage is not a far-right affair, as extreme liberals are seeking to claim. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, my friend, my equivalent in France, the rightful Prime Minister of France, denounced in unequivocal terms the shame that the Macron government has brought to France and the offense it has given, not just to 1 billion Christians around the world, but billions of others, including Muslims, who revere Christ. It seems rather more than most Christians, so-called Christians, revere the Messiah. Mélenchon asked Macron exactly why they chose to willfully offend and upset and, yes, exclude 1 billion believers around the world by their sacrilegious, blasphemous, and utterly obscene, bizarre opening ceremony. I asked the question on Twitter today, and almost 1 million people have fastened onto it. How do I, the father of 3 young children and 2 early teenage children, how do I explain to them why the opening ceremony of the world's greatest sporting spectacle was besmirched by people with their bollocks hanging out on live television, being watched all over the world, men swinging their dicks in ladies' lingerie, in stockings and suspenders, strutting around on apparently a catwalk with little children running around them? What is this a celebration of? It's clearly not gay rights. It's clearly not, surely, a celebration of pedophilia. What exactly was it intending to convey about French culture, about a land so ancient and so dripping with culture that it is the world's greatest tourist destination? What exactly does France have? And why did Jesus get up from the table to cavort sexually, gyrate, ululate sexually in front of a global audience? I'm not strung out on it. I do have an on-off switch on my television. I raise it only because it is surely emblematic of the degeneracy and decline of Western civilization, if civilization it can any longer be called, the civilization that was once the property of what is now just 13% of the world's population. And I raise that because it's that 13% and its leaders, moreover, who are hurtling the whole world towards existential danger, towards the danger, literally, of extinction. Countries as degenerate and as in decline as was shown that last night France is, or at least the French political system is, should not have its finger on the nuclear button, should not be able to drag the rest of us into a nuclear confrontation, conflagration, and utter terminal destruction of the human race. Should it? Is that what they meant by exceptionalism? Exceptionally a national disgrace, an international obscenity. And that's even more reason to switch off the Olympic Games. We're asking in a poll this evening, do you care about the Olympics? A remarkable number of people nowadays do not. I remember their great days. I remember when the Olympic Games were a must-watch for almost everybody in almost every country that had televisions. Nowadays, and not least because of the path that they have chosen in this opening ceremony in Paris, most people are left entirely cold, except those that are riled and boiling mad that whilst Russia and Belarus, why Belarus? Belarus never attacked anybody. Russia and Belarus are banned from this Olympic Games, while Israel dripping in the blood of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, most of them children and women, over just the last 10 months in the Gaza Strip. No one has ever been able to explain why Russia is banned because it's at war in the Ukraine, but Israel is welcome, though it's been found guilty only a couple of 100 miles from Paris by the world's senior court, the International Court of Justice, of a comprehensive set of indictments that ought to have it banned from every international fora in the world. I must, however, press on because the big story tonight is that Middle East Airlines, that's Lebanon's own airline, has stopped its flights back to Beirut this evening. The list of cities was given where there are MEA jets that have arrived there but are not going to return. Saudi Arabia and many other countries have told their nationals immediately to withdraw. And Israeli media this evening is saying that Israel will attack all areas of Lebanon this evening. Now, it might be in the early hours of the morning. That's the cowardly way that the Israelis like to dish out death and destruction. But by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, it is virtually certain that an all-out war will have erupted, not just between Israel and Lebanon, but all of Lebanon's allies. Anyone who thinks that the resistance movements around the axis of resistance are going to sit silently while Israel pulverizes the whole of the Lebanon is a very foolish person indeed. And anybody who thinks that the Islamic Republic of Iran, that Yemen are going to remain silent in the face of such a genocidal onslaught is a fool. The proximate reason being given is almost impossible to believe. As John P. McEnroe would say, are you being serious? Israel, which murders Palestinian children on a daily basis, is launching this invasion on Lebanon because they say the Lebanese resistance killed children in Majd al-Shams. The clue was in the name, Shams, Syrian. Shams means Syria. That children were killed, they say, by a Hezbollah rocket which hit a sports field in Majd al-Shams in the occupied Golan Heights. Now here's the thing. No Hezbollah rocket hit Majd al-Shams. Overwhelmingly, it is believed by weapons experts all over the world that the ordnance which killed those children in the sports field at Majd al-Shams was Iron Dome technology gone wrong, as has happened in that very town on 2 other previous occasions. There would be no reason in the world for Hezbollah to fire a rocket at children who are Arab children, Syrian children, Syrian Arab Druze children, everyone. Not a single Israeli was harmed in any way in the explosion that they're going to create World War III, perhaps, using that as an excuse. I've got the names of all the children who've just been buried. every single one of them is an Arab with an Arabic name. They're being buried according to the burial rituals of the Syrian Druze population, which is 100% loyal to the Syrian Arab Republic, from which the Golan Heights was illegally taken in the first place. These are people who refuse Israeli identity cards. These are people who refuse to use Israeli currency. These are people, I've seen them with my own eyes, that go to the fence separating occupied Golan from the rest of Syria and try to kiss their relatives on the other side through a wire fence. It is an utterly bogus hoax. And the ill-intentioned might well be tempted to speculate that it was a deliberate Israeli bombardment of non-Jewish, non-Israeli kids in Golan to justify what they are about to do in the next few hours. I suspect it was a cock-up rather than a conspiracy. The mourners in Majd al-Shams refused to allow Netanyahu cabinet members to attend the funerals of the children, and have refused, en masse, the invitation to meet with the killer Benjamin Netanyahu. And yet, this is going to be the casus belli, the proximate cause of what will undoubtedly become an all-out regional war, in which Israel may well not come out on top. If it is not coming out on top, the possibility of them having recourse to a dirty nuclear weapon to finish Lebanon once and for all will likely be the precursor of World War III. Because Lebanon has a very close alliance with Syria. Syria has a very close alliance with Iran, but with another country too, namely the Russian Federation. If anyone thinks that the Russian Federation, that Iran, and therefore China are going to sit back and allow Lebanon to be destroyed by Benjamin Netanyahu in the way that he's already destroyed the Gaza Strip, without fighting back with all that they have, and they may well have things we don't know yet that they have, then they are seriously mistaken. And the problem for us, you, me, is we are going to be dragged into all of this, directly dragged into it, by people over whom we have no control, and in the case of the United States, have no idea if they're even alive. Who's running the United States? It's plainly not Joe Biden. He's not even fit enough to continue his election campaign. He is absent from the national and international stage. And probably we're better off as a result. It's plainly not Kamala Harris with her sub 100 IQ, cackling Kamala, laughing gas Harris. It's obviously not her that's running the United States, because she's on the campaign trail daily, day and night, dancing, jiving, jive talking, or whatever tongues it is in which she speaks. So who's running the United States that is about to take us into World War III? Whose finger is on the nuclear button? Kamala Harris? Are you serious? She's going to make the decision whether the US fleet in the Eastern Mediterranean is going to join the war that's starting this evening between Israel and Lebanon? Really? Kamala Harris